We recently had a client pass away unexpectedly. I'm going to share with you in this video, not the strategies necessarily that we used with the client leading up to this point, but how the strategies that we're employing now and the planning techniques are so important. This is where having a relationship with an advisor that understands you is so critically important. Hi, I'm Troy Sharpe, CEO of Oak Harvest Financial Group, certified financial planner professional, host of the Retirement Income Show, and certified tax specialist. So in this example, of course, the names are changed and some of the details are definitely different, but the overall concepts of what we're going through from a planning standpoint right now are very important. We are going to relay them to you. The goal of this video, from my perspective, is to help you kind of open your eyes and understand what planning strategies, what do we need to be thinking about whenever we're on that step 5 of Retirement 360, which is the estate plan. Most of you think that an estate plan is a will, maybe a revocable living trust, but especially with this new tax law coming and so many sweeping changes to the tax law, we've helped clients for years. When I say estate plan is part of our Retirement 360 process, what I'm talking about is how we help clients. And it's on the income planning, the tax planning, the investment management, all of that wrapped up. But how does that transfer to the next generation most efficiently? It's not, you don't just go see an attorney, get a will and a trust and think your estate plan is complete. It's far more than that. And I'm gonna kind of share with you what I'm talking about in this video. So here we have John. He has a $1 million Roth IRA. So over the years with this client, we were transferring money from his IRA to his Roth. It's something we do with a lot of clients. We're strong proponents in paying tax today at lower rates as opposed to higher taxes later for most of our clients. He had a $2 million IRA, $600,000 in a non-qualified account. Now in this account, I'm going to, for this example, let's assume he has a $400,000 basis. So all the positions that were purchased for $400,000. It's grown to $600,000. This is going to tie into the new tax changes. Okay, so this is what John passes away with. Under current law, there's no estate tax, but the Secure Act passed a couple of years ago means this retirement account, this IRA, it has to be fully distributed once the kids inherit it within 10 years. That's a pretty big problem. How are we going to distribute that? The Roth IRA, it will be tax-free, and it also has to be distributed within 10 years, but once it's distributed, it is still tax-free. Even all the gains over the next 10 years will remain tax-free. But this one, the IRA, once it's distributed, it's 100% taxable at that point. Now, the non-qualified account, we'll come back and talk about that. In this example, 2 children to inherit all of these assets. James is married. He and his wife have $175,000 of adjusted gross income. They have 2 children, and he has an aggressive risk profile. Jenny, she's single. She's currently unemployed. She lost her job during COVID. She has no children, and she's more conservative as far as her investment profile, her risk profile. So the question becomes, and everything is split 50-50, okay? But they have choices here. How are they going to distribute this retirement account? Well, part of the planning process means we need to have a conversation and we actually need to build a financial plan for James and Jenny. So this is what we're going through right now. Of course, they could just take the money, take the $2 million, split it 50-50, pay taxes on it, and blow $1 million out of the window that quickly. Of course, that's not what the father would have wanted. They would have wanted the money to be used intelligently and over time. And fortunately, in this scenario that I'm working with, the kids are very good stewards of the money and they also want it to be there for the rest of their life. That's not always the case. So the question becomes, or some of the things to point out here, Jenny, she's single, which means she's not in the married filing jointly brackets, obviously, so she can have less income before she goes into those next tax brackets, but she is unemployed, so she has no income coming in right now. It's a prime position to accelerate those distributions from her part of the IRA. She has no kids, so we don't have to worry about tax credits or anything along those lines that may apply in this situation, and a very conservative Profile, well, that just simply helps us understand how the portfolio should grow over time. We would actually talk to Jenny, help her understand about stocks, because most of the times we sit with children, they have no understanding about money, they have no understanding about the stock market, they have no understanding about saving, investing, etc. So part of the first job here is to help Jenny understand how investing in good companies over time and reinvesting dividends, or how the stock market works in general. Ideally, we would talk to her and help build out a plan to get a little bit more growth than just sticking it in cash or CDs or bonds or something like that. But if she wants to stay conservative, then that's her priority, and that's our responsibility to uphold that fiduciary standard. Now, James over here, he does have an income, but since he's married, he has about another about $180,000 that we could take out of that IRA this year before he got out of that 24% bracket. But here's what we have to look at in the conversations we need to have with James and also Jenny. But first and foremost, this is a joint income. Is the spouse going to continue to work? We need to map out essentially the income for both of these people, the estimated income to the greatest extent possible over the next 10 years. Again, 10 years, why? Because that IRA, it's a ticking time bomb. It's going to go off. It has to be distributed at that point, or there's a 50% penalty plus taxes due on everything left in it. So is one spouse going to stop working to stay home and take care of the kids? Well, that would reduce the income. Maybe a promotion's on the horizon. Maybe more income is coming. Maybe they're starting a side company. All of this needs to be taken into consideration. How much are we going to dedicate to college? How much are we going to dedicate for personal uses? Maybe we're going to buy a home. So understanding both of their situations, mapping out the income, and to the best extent we can, the taxes that they currently faced in their situation as is, then translating that over to what is the best strategy for distributing the 50% of the IRA annually for them. In Jenny's situation, maybe she's single now, but maybe she's engaged and she's going to be married in a couple of years, most likely. Well, we would maybe max out the 22%, maybe the 24% bracket right now, with intentions of being able to do more out of that IRA down the road when she's in the married filing jointly brackets. So customizing it. This is what we do for clients. This is what we do for the children of clients. But I want to provide perspective as to how you need to look at the planning when it comes to the estate side of things. Now, next year, this is 2021. I don't know when you're watching this video, but next year it is probable, I'd say, that what's known as the step up in basis is going away. So under today's law, this non-qualified investment account, if stocks are bought at $400, the current value is $600. Under current law, they would inherit that $600,000 tax-free. As part of President Biden's proposals, or what they're trying to get passed through, and it looks pretty likely this will pass, they're going to create that gain, that $200,000 of gain. It seems like it's going to be immediately subject to tax upon passing. Okay? So at that point, we have to take that into consideration, because if that gets split 50-50, now that's $100,000 possibly of income going on each of their tax returns, so we can take less out of the IRA. We need to take that in consideration. From a planning standpoint, if he didn't die unexpectedly, what we would have done is had a conversation with him and say, okay, we're in a good position. This particular client doesn't need any of this. He had a pension, he had some other assets that were generating income. This was more growth for the kids. So one of the things we could have done is started to gift this account to the children or to a trust. When you gift money, you retain the basis. But if he got it out of his estate, and let's say it was gifted to the two children, okay, no longer the step up in basis would have been a concern, because gifting it to them, they would have retained that basis and they could have let it grow and not pay taxes until they sold. Now, under today's law, you can gift up to $23.4 million with no gift tax whatsoever. The annual exclusion for gifting is $15,000 per spouse per child, or to whomever. But one of the proposals in the new tax legislation is trying to limit the amount of lifetime gifting from $23.4 million now under the Trump tax cuts all the way down to $1 million. So for many of you, gifting may not be a viable, at least as viable of a solution down the road. But the power of gifting in this example is strong because that gifting strategy could have avoided taxation on that $200,000 of gain. Many of you have parents that are still alive. One of the things we do with clients when it's in estate planning, when we get to step 5 of Retirement 360, we'll look at what assets you're about to inherit now and what is the most efficient way, the strategy, given today's tax law or the new tax law, to get that money over so you keep more money in your family. This is the big deal for many people who have not just small businesses and people that have $5, $10, $15 million. But if your parents have an account that's worth $400,000 or $500,000 and maybe they've had Ma Bell and IBM and all of these blue chip dividend paying stocks for years, they could have a very small basis. And if they don't need that money, possibly a gifting strategy now is appropriate. There are many others, but just to open your eyes to what estate planning means to us and how it ties together. Not just for the children and preparing for the future, but possibly to help you right now because you have parents and you have monies that you are going to inherit. Obviously, this is complex, and I'm just touching on a tip of the iceberg here of everything that you need to be aware of, but I want to open your eyes. This is the purpose of this channel. This is the purpose of our firm. This is what we do. So we need to figure out how best to stretch the IRA over that 10-year period, given the children's individual income tax and future plans. And then with the non-qualified account, that also has to be determined, ideally leading up to retirement. And if there was any type of non-qualified annuity or real estate, other assets require more specific types of planning. But I want to get you thinking essentially what estate planning from the Retirement 360 perspective, what that looks like. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button and then that little bell icon, that'll notify you whenever we upload new content. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down if you don't like it. Make sure to comment below. And if you have a friend or family member that could benefit from this, please send them the video. If you need help with your particular situation, give us a call or set an appointment down below. You can click on that link and we look forward to speaking with you soon.